We're going to give it a minute for everybody to hop on the stage, and then we will get started. All right. Well, that appears to be everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get kicked off. Unfortunately, Fox was not able to be here this week. He is in an airport currently, and airport Wi Fi and our Discord server do not agree with each other. So we are going to have this AMA without Fox. We do have some updates to give first and foremost, so we're going to take care of that. After that, we are going to move to some questions that have been submitted to the Rapider site. And then we are going to take some live questions today. A couple notes on the live questions. First and foremost, if you raise your hand because you have a question and your question gets answered prior to you coming on stage, please lower your hand. Second, please keep in mind the group that we have up here. So if you have, a Solidity question, something like that, we don't have a Solidity dev up here today. So submit those to the Rapid Hour website so that we can get them answered next week for you. But questions on fundraising, front end, merch, building program, etc., we are here for you. And if you do come up and have a question we can't answer, we'll direct you to that RapidR site. Just as a reminder, also, we are going to be moving to the RapidR site more and more to the submitted questions. Please make sure if you have questions, you submit them there. The goal is to be able to use that site so that those questions can be upvoted by the community so that we can tell which questions have the most backing and take care of those questions. So once we do go to the live questions, if you would keep it as succinct as possible so that we can get to as many questions as possible, that would be greatly appreciated so that we can make sure that we give as many people an opportunity as possible. And with that, I am going to turn over to Dreamer, who just hopped back on stage, so hopefully his Discord is connected. But we're going to hop over to Dreamer for a quick update.
Hey, yeah, sorry. Discord is being silly. I didn't hear anything till I came back on. I just saw your green circle going big and small and realized that you were talking and I couldn't hear you. But yeah, last week we did a pretty extended update. Took up a lot of time there talking about strategy around fundraising and what we're doing in terms of business continuity planning. That has progressed, albeit a bit less than previous weeks, given the U.S. holiday. However, priority one of Cristobal parity is definitely something in focus, not only on our team from the build side, but I've been looking for ways to ensure that we have continued runway to do so. I can't share too many details on what's in progress, but really pre any final large raise, we have been looking for through our partners ways to get short-term capital injection that could potentially contribute to the overall raise. And I can say that we've had one very successful progressing relationship there. We have an offer that our lawyers are actually looking at right now that is very promising and very excited about. So as people know, just to recap, from the fundraising perspective, definitely looking for partners in the industry for short-term capital injection for a mutually beneficial agreement of what we're building and where things will live and what we can do relative to their priorities as well. Secondary, looking for partners out there, other game studios and others either looking to enter the space, already in the space. Those conversations are going. And then the third priority is the overall equity raise for Kingdom Studios. Did have a couple really good conversations with larger funds, both VC and hedge funds last week. We're trying to hone in on one to lead the overall raise, which for those that are less familiar, the entity that overall leads the raise will be the one that confirms the valuation. We've done our own inputs on our own valuation. But they will confirm the valuation that they are comfortable kind of representing, and then we take that to everybody else that we've been talking to that is looking to contribute and participate. And based on that valuation, we'll kind of get firmed up commitments, and then you enter like a due diligence phase that sometimes lasts up to a month or longer. And essentially, that's a legal due diligence to make sure that everybody involved in the raise is well aware. So still in the early stages, but did find a way to lock in some short-term funding that would overall long-term relate to the raise. So excited about that. That's my main update. I'm really gonna hand over to Beetle Dude because the priority one Crystal Ball parody is going to be most related to build side, what we've been doing, what the overall timeline is. So I will pass it over to him.
Awesome, thanks, Dreamer. And yeah, that's super exciting. Glad to hear that we're kind of progressing on that side of things. But yeah, to Dreamer's point, we do have main priority right now is moving towards Crystal Veil parity as much as we can. So in that vein, we have been working pretty heavily on the quests, getting quests over onto Crystal Veil. So we have fishing and foraging pretty far along. They are in testing right now. It's not looking like we'll be making the cutoff date tomorrow, but we're still hoping to get them out this week, maybe towards the weekend. So I hope that's exciting news. We're trying to get those up as quickly as we can. There's a lot to it. A couple new tokens that are coming for those. So just trying to make sure that all our mechanics are straight, all the Solidity contracts are looking good, and then we'll be testing that out and hopefully getting that out sometime this week. Again, can't be 100% sure there, but I feel like we are on the right track. So either this week or early next week at the latest. And then yeah, sorry, Blonde, were you trying to say something?
I was gonna say, did you want to comment on the item bridge?
Yeah, so we are making progress as well on the item bridge, which would basically allow you to bridge over any of your items from Serendale to Crystal Vale. That is in process. It is a fairly complex feature, so it's going to require a lot of testing to make sure everything's in a good spot. And then with some difficulties on Harmony Testnet, we're trying to find creative ways that we can test that and make sure that that's working properly. So that's in process as well. That's probably going to be a little bit further out, but that is something that we are working on actively, and that is getting pretty close to a testable place. So yeah, good call out, Bowen.
Yeah, and I think also kind of on that same vein, as far as like item functionality on Crystal Vale being next after the questing, correct? As far as like Alchemist and Meditation Circle.
Yeah, I can walk through kind of what the chain will be. So I mentioned fishing and foraging this week, or hopefully this week or early next week. After that, we would be probably doing Meditation Circle as quickly as we can get the items that we need to run that, and hopefully in conjunction with that getting gold mining in a good spot in Crystal Vale as well. And then I believe crystal mining and gardening would come after that. So that's kind of the pace that we're looking at. You mentioned Meditation Circle, and we'll also be getting the Alchemist in a place on Crystal Vale as well. And then I believe we'll also be adding a castle zone at some point, but there's less functionality there, so that's not quite as exciting. Yeah, that's kind of the order we're going in, trying to get the quest in, and then make sure that we're providing uses for the items that we can either bridge over or get from the quests.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Beetle Dude.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bola.
For the record, I'm excited about a Crystal Bell Castle. But
Yeah, heck yeah.
one other thing I wanted to just throw out real quick because I meant to mention it and I forgot to. Dreamer referenced that we did a pretty in-depth update on a lot of stuff last week. The write-up from Sandwich Punch, which is essentially a transcription, is pinned both in the AMA questions and the AMA voiceless chat channel, as well as the recording is on YouTube. So if you did miss that update and you want to get caught up on that, it is readily available in the media of your choice. But anyway, back to today's AMA. The next thing we were going to do is go to Sunbear to carry on the building theme and give us an update on Kingdom Builders.
Thanks, Bolon. I'm also excited about questing on Crystal Valley, I must admit. Let's see. So we have had some issues that we've talked about, obviously, over the last two AMAs, especially with Harmony and the grant that we didn't end up receiving, and then with the bridge situation. Like our partners, in some way or another, have all had to halt the funds for grants. We too are having to do that at this point, unfortunately, and just want to acknowledge, like, there are so many amazing builders and so many projects that have done so much and are so ready to go to vote or almost ready to go to vote for the community. We're committed to that and bringing that back, obviously as soon as we can. And right now that's obviously not something we can do, but to focus on what we can do, that's really what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, is like, all right, what can we do? Because we are builders, we just keep building. We have kind of formatted the build program for the situation that we're in currently to help expedite building and support for the builders. You saw the support site come out a couple weeks ago that Fawn really took lead on building, which is really helpful. We've also kind of switched up so that we have a proposal system that, because it doesn't include grant funding, it's streamlined. The proposals templates are a lot shorter. We gather just that necessary information to find out how you want to build on DFK or on the blockchain, DFK blockchain, or use assets or NFTs. And then we actually have formed a committee that represents all the primary parts of Kingdom Studios that can help make these decisions and really get these partnerships moving. So that process is now up. A new update was just posted in the build site, build at DeFiKingdoms or .defykingdoms.com. So please check that out with all the new templates and information there. Two other pieces that we've been receiving feedback about and are excited about. One is offering an application process for folks to get connected to the game so we can co-market together. So if you have a game and you want it to be listed in the Jester, there's now a quick application to get that information to us so that we can get those through and approved. And work with you on that. Or if you want to be listed on the menu on the right of the game as an asset or something that is really supporting the community, or on our website, a link on our website as well. There's different ways to be connected and do that co-marketing effort. One other too, now that we have raffles launched, and you've heard Dreamer and Fox talk about the vision of having third-party games, entities utilizing the raffle system to reward their players and then to connect with us on our game and with that raffle system. There's now an application to do that as well, so that we can again gather that information and create that partnership in an expedited way. And one thing I also wanted to mention, of course, we're going to do this in a thoughtful and intentional way with this committee. That's the intention. And if there's anything that does feel somewhat disruptive or that does require some kind of funding or something that hasn't been asked or clarified in our terms of conditions and our guidelines, then of course we would take things to a vote if that was a need to do with the community, so that we are protecting the community's voice in all of that. So yeah, come build, come play, come check us out on the build site. There's my update.
Can you say build.defykingdoms.com 5 times fast, though?
I'm good, but I might stumble and it'd be really funny.
Appreciate it. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement around that, and especially on the co-marketing side, that's going to be really cool. Dreamer, I saw you unmute. Did you have something you wanted to add there?
Yeah, I just wanted to add an additional plug as well for those that are curious about building on DFK chain. It does require to be whitelisted, so even if you aren't somebody looking for a grant or looking for like directly in-game connectivity, given use of NFTs or tokens or others, but you are looking for a blockchain that has really good infrastructure on a really awesome technology powered by Avalanche subnet with low fees, please do reach out. Just want to add that additional plug. I think all these we are funneling through the Kingdom Builder program. So in the request, please make it clear you're looking to build on the FK chain. I think a lot of others have requested like through Knights and through Bolon and Risen and others, and we are doing our best to accommodate all those. So just wanted to put that plug in there.
That's a good plug. I appreciate that. That's a good call out. And then after that, speaking of building, we're going to build on some hype on merch and go to Pieface.
Yes. The hype is real because launch for merch is this Friday. I'm so excited. And last week when we teased the merch and we got some feedback on it, it was much appreciated. Kind of interesting doing it on the Twitters. But there's actually a merch feedback section on Rapider. And that over there is basically my home. I've been chatting with you guys. It's been awesome chatting about what we have in store for merch. So make your way over there. I would love to hear more merch suggestions and more conversation about it, honestly. Because this merch store, it'll definitely be much more than just, some products on there to sell. But in true DeFi Kingdoms fashion, in the spirit of it all, our goal is to innovate in everything we're involved in. So just to share like a quick list of what we have planned for merch is like Web3 integrations, NFT ownership verification, which means like merch for hero holders, in-game benefits for the future. So, but right now we're working on some updates to make sure that our merch store goes smoothly for our international friends. So you guys all in Europe or in Asia, I hope that we want to make sure that this merch store can be like as global as possible, because that's everybody's from everywhere who's in our community. So we'll have almost 20 items available this Friday. But I will share in the AMA Voiceless chat some of our merch being modeled. Scroll. And,
Who's it being modeled by?
Sorry, what was that?
Who's it being modeled by?
Oh. Our favorite dreamer. And but yeah, so you guys are all so awesome. And I'm just very excited for this Friday. Woo! Thanks, guys.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for the merch. I also feel like I should have made you go at the very end, because now people are going to leave. They really only come to the AMAs for the merch updates. So with that, we are going to go to some questions. There was a submitted question that I wanted to pass on to Dreamer just to kind of have it clarified, I guess, would be the best way to put it. So Dreamer, the question that was submitted, and it's been submitted a couple times in different phrasing, is DFK for sale? So I feel like that's something that we can kind of clarify as to what we're looking at doing fundraising wise.
Yeah, if we had that person elaborate on it, I'm not sure what they're asking, but I'll try to answer it in as many ways as I could interpret it. Is Kingdom Studios for sale? Are we looking to get bought out short term and get a quick turnaround? No, that's not really the focus of our efforts. We're not going around trying to rush to public listing in like a month or have somebody buy us out completely. What we're focusing on is, I'll just repeat them. I know it's probably annoying to some, but short-term Christabel parity, future parity, so that we can get all the awesome things happening in Serendale also over there happening in Christabel. It was always our original plan. There's been a lot that's happened the last couple of months that slowed it down a bit, and then more that's happened recently that's really emphasized the need for that in terms of like business continuity planning. Serendale is an option that we want to make sure that we really protect all of the assets there. So far, it has lived on Harmony. There is no immediate update on that changing, but we are, trying to be well aware of everything that's happening in the market, and also we're very well aware of to other chains how attractive it could be to have, Serendale in a fully functioning realm on their chain. Now, there's a lot of additional work that comes with that in terms of bridging. People have their own opinions on the past of overall performance on Harmony, but I've heard some very knowledgeable people say, running 500,000 to 5 million transactions a day would probably cause any chain out there to have trouble. Now, I'm not super duper technical on that. I haven't gone and done research on every single chain out there, but I do know that there's significant pros to have the volume, the potential player base, the long-term roadmap we have, the strong team. And are we considering collaborations with other chains that might incentivize further building on their chain, or even a potential option of a new home for Serendale in exchange for all the work that would go into it and the value it would give to their chain? That's the answer. Then the answer is yes. Trying to think of another way to interpret is DFK for sale. We've always had open arms to any other project, chain, game, or protocol out there to find ways to work together. We started down a path of gamifying some other protocols like Synapse, which was very successful. Definitely have that same vision and goal with Banky, although Chainlink and overall price oracles have made that more difficult to turn around quickly on DFK chain. We have had invitations to other games. However, I think everybody's kind of looking at this market and trying to prepare themselves for a long winter. So some aren't as focused there, but we are definitely open. I don't know if that's for sale, but that is open for exchange of, services we both provide, collaborations, doing big stuff together. And then we're talking to game studios as well, both game studios in the traditional sense, where there might be some pretty cool crossovers of collaborations and helping folks enter Web3 with all the technology under the hood of DFK that might give them a softer landing. Or some other game studios out there that have some skill sets that we either are needing or lacking or would benefit from. So a lot of different ways to interpret that. Hopefully that answered all of them. But Bolan, do you think there's any question they might have skirted around or any interpretation of that?
No, I think that was perfect. And, if we get a follow-up, we get a follow-up. But I think you nailed it. I think that kind of covered all of the bases, and I think that should provide some clarity. But as I said, if not, we'll have more questions on it. We'll answer those as they come.
Yes. And that's a point in time answer, trying to be as transparent as possible. I'd say if any other interpretation of that were to deviate or change over time, we'll try to keep everybody updated in these weekly calls.
For sure. All right. So we are going to move to some live questions. As I mentioned, just keep in mind who we have available today. If we can't answer the question, we'll have you submit it on the site. And please be as quick as you can while articulating your question so that we can get through as many as we can. So I'm going to start inviting a couple people up on stage. Blesseth.
Hey, can you hear me, Bolan?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I get that you guys, the primary objective is the VC and getting investors on the financial side. I understand that. I guess you guys can't disclose that as much, but financially, that's what you want to do to help support the chain. But on the implementation of game content. Is the current outlook right now just implementing the current Serendale content onto Crystal Veil? And what are the hurdles of copying the HTML code from Serendale over to Crystal Veil?
Yeah, maybe I'll start, and then I'm going to hand it over to Beetle, because I do think it's a bit more than like copying and pasting existing code, especially because we want Crystal Veil to have feature parity natively. But I will say the focus is there's a very real risk, right? That many things in Web3 right now we might wake up and things are different tomorrow. And I think we've seen a lot of these 3 Sigma events. We have a very strong subnet, and we have a lot invested there, and good partners over at Avalanche. And we want to make sure that we follow through on the overall intent and design of Crystal Veil. So feature parity definitely is priority. But to the question of what about other game content, we are looking for ways to continue to progress that, specifically in our overall, as of now, soft partnerships. But in the coming weeks, we might be announcing a little bit more collaboration with a few others that have really unique skill sets to progress some parts of the pieces on the roadmap. So I'd stay tuned for that. But in terms of like the ease or difficulty of Crystal Veil parity, but I think what you're asking also is if Serendale were to move to a new chain, how easy or difficult do we see that as, I think as you put it, like copying and pasting HTML code? So maybe Beetle Dude, you might be able to speak to those 2 things.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's definitely not exactly that simple. But yeah, I mean, specifically for Crystal Veil, we have new NPCs, new token designs, and things like that. The biggest time constraint is really on the Solidity side, the contract side. We do have a very usable front end, so it's architected in a way that we can make those updates pretty seamless between realms, between Crystal Veil, Serendale. If you were to add an additional realm or chain, we have it set up in a way that would be fairly straightforward to kind of use what we've already used, as long as the kind of underlying functionality isn't changing at all. So I would say it's primarily contract based, and it's just a different chain, has different technology needs on the Solidity side that require a little bit more time there. So that's the primary time constraints, like I said. And then on the front end, just any new NPCs or items or copy or anything like that is what we're basically needing on the other side of things. So if we had a Solidity gap here, I'd make them go into real depth on it. But yeah, that's the long and short of it, at least. Question.
I appreciate you guys giving us the feedback. So I guess Solidity just slows the process going through the. I don't code on Solidity, so that's Mandarin Chinese for me. So I can understand that. I get once you guys actually have your HTML code, your foundation like you have on Serendale, then some of it is copy and paste. And I realize there are adjustments that do need to be made, but I appreciate you giving me the feedback on that. The only thing that wasn't answered really that I would appreciate an answer to is like, after getting Crystal Veil up to speed to where Serendale is currently, what is the next, I guess, improvement to NFT utility and overall economical impact to the game?
Sure. I think the next thing on the roadmap immediately after that is Profession Quest level 10, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll probably be something that we and then so it'll be Profession level 10, and then which will include like pet bonuses, pet feeding, and things like that. That would be the next step after we get parity and whatever else we need to get Serendale in a good spot.
And sorry, just one last thing. So we're pretty much building on Harmony at the moment is kind of in a stall or an idle state. I'm just going to primarily focus on CV since there's a unsureness about, for lack of a better word, what Harmony is going to do or where it's going to head in the future.
I'd say that's accurate.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks, Blessed.
Appreciate it, Blessed. Melians, do we have you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Go ahead.
All right. So I just had one quick question, one add-on to the question that was asked previously. The first one is, how are we going to handle the Quest funding contract as far as the funding for Quest on Crystalville go, or is that going to be a separate contract, or will we be dividing it amongst the two? And the other part was to add on to the question is DFK for sale. I just wanted to ask if that would include, like, if the right offer was made and a company offered to buy the rights of DFK, would Kingdom Studios be willing to let go of that? I think that's the only end that wasn't really covered.
I can start with the second one. The first one was the question for you, Beetle Dude? I didn't get the funding of the Quest contract.
Probably more of
Is
a
that-
Solidity tokenomics question. I don't know if that's something that's been discussed in the committee.
Okay, well, let's go to the second one real quick, and then maybe Melons will just ask you to restate that one, see if we can answer it for you. We might not be able to, but I mean, if somebody were to come in with an offer and say, we, this big question mark, have ABC capability, we would like to purchase rights and work with you and the community to complete the vision and so on. Are we going to say right now whether we would say yes or no? No, I think anything like that. Obviously, we're not going around saying, don't even ask on ways that you can collaborate with us. We're actually talking to some really big game studios on partnerships that will definitely help us on the overall vision and potentially bring in some other unique crossovers as well longer term. So, yeah, I would say if there's somebody out there that's like, ooh, I see all the value, I'm going to come in and see what we can do with them, I'd say reach out and we'll see what is possible. But none of the conversations that I have had have started or ended with, would you be interested in buying everything and us handing it over? Our goal is to get funding to fund the experts that have been building and working with the community and with that long-term focus, as well as identifying strategic partnerships. Because a capital raise could result in the vast majority of those that hold equity not necessarily having like that strategic partnership mindset or approach. It's not that we're trying to avoid that, but we are trying to reach out to those that there will be a lot of synergies with overall networks and value adds in maybe the rest of their portfolio or in their like native protocols or games or studios. So is that a clear enough answer? All I can say is we haven't had any of those conversations. We haven't sought out any or have anybody reached out to it. I'm not saying we are looking for it. Well, I guess we haven't been looking for it, and I'm not saying we're not open to it. But if we were to ever be open to it, it would be with the priority of limited disruption, maximum stability, and preserving that long-term roadmap that exists today. Although we should expect things to be enhanced as we make partnerships and things down the line.
Yeah, I think the biggest fear out of the gaming side of the community is that we don't want to become Activision DFK due to how like they take over and change the functionality of every game they touched. So I guess that's more of my concern.
I can confirm that's not the kind of studios that we're talking to at the moment.
All right. And as far as my first question goes, it was more so in regards to the questing contract we currently have. It generally has had growth in the terms of the length of the time we've been questing, but there has to be like an initial funding amount there in order to have regards to what the tokenomics of each of the items are. So I was wondering if we were going to be going towards splitting the contract that we have currently over to the Crystalville side, or if we were going to be pulling funding from somewhere else, which I think is be extremely hard to do right now.
You're talking about the Quest Fund, correct? Like the actual reward
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so the Quest Fund, and we don't have like all of the most expert people on this on right now, but the Quest Fund primarily is funding gardening quests, right? And gardening, I don't even think is in the first phase of Percival quests. People do that. I think you're talking about fishing, foraging first, but essentially, when this has been brought up separately, I personally had the question. I'm like, hey, we're essentially doubling the sources of questing. But I think the direct answer to that is, it still takes a hero to quest. And when it comes to gardening, which relates to the quest fund, it still takes a corresponding pool that the single gardener would be gardening. So would the quest fund that you see today potentially need to support that on Christabel, especially if we see a big shift of questing and when gardening is live, shift over to that direction? I think we're open to that possibility, but I do also believe there is a quest fund that we've set up on Crystalvale and the validators. They do have a portion of going to a floating, I think we call that a variable fund as well, and that could feed the Crystalvale Native Quest Fund if it was lighter or used for other things.
All right. Thank you so much, and thanks for answering it the best you could. I didn't think about it being out of the terms today either, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, Malian, I will say too, if you want to throw that one on the Raptor site, we can circle back to it next week as well, just to see if we can further answer it. All right, and we have Starbuck.
Hey everyone, I got two quick, hopefully easy questions. The first is, what's going to happen to those Gen 0 1 through 20 descendants? Should we expect a reroll? And then second question is on the duplicate scrolls. Will there be a swap or trade? Asking for myself, I've got 10 pages and 2 triplicates and wondering where they're going with that.
Take the first one and maybe others could add on to it. The second one I know much less about on the lower side, but I think the plan has been to add on to the overall rerolls that we did at the Gen Zero rerolls on Crystalvale. I don't know exactly what the in-depth plan is because of all the focuses that we've had. It's a great question. Similar to the last one, I do think that confirming with Hubert and Fox specifically, I think they have been closest to the various options there. We could look to give an update. I do think that there's a lot to consider there, not only the Gen Zeros themselves, but all of the summoning that's taken place. So I think the answer you're seeking is, maybe less on the technical, how do we do it, but is it still expected to address those? And I have no reason to say it isn't. I just feel like we need to circle back on exactly what that would look like, and then how we're going to accomplish it. Because in everything that we've done similar to this, it's been one thing to get to the idea, and it's another thing to identify like a seamless way to do it. Because I imagine we'll have to look at potentially all those heroes that came from the Gen Zeros that might be carrying Transcendent Genie and see how to address those. There might even be a few options that we think about and present to the community and see what the community feels like we should do with them. So it's a good question, and it's one that I think we should circle back with a few others that aren't on today. If Bolon, is that fair? I don't know if we do that on the Raptor side or just have it for follow-up for next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can definitely put that down for next week, but if you would be so kind as to throw it on the Raptor site, that would also be super helpful. But agreed, we can definitely circle back to that when we have hopefully Fox and Hubert, but probably either one of them will be able to give us a summary on it.
Awesome. And then on the duplicate scrolls, you guys have a plan for those individuals that have multiple of the same? I mean, I've got 10, and 2 of those are triplicates.
That probably falls into the same category of game mechanics.
All right.
I don't know that I've heard. Yeah, sorry, I don't know that I've heard any specific plans for
Yeah.
duplicates.
Trying to pull from my memory bank here, which is a dangerous game to play. But if I remember correctly, it's been mentioned in the past that there might be a use for those duplicate pages if people so chose. And then the other thing that I think was mentioned, although Beetle Dude, you might actually have some clarification on this, maybe, not sure. But also the order book system.
Yeah, I don't have any specific updates about that, but that would be something where that would be applicable for sure.
And part of it too is that there's some challenges with the transferring of the new token type, which I'm not going to butcher the number of because I just blanked on it. But the new the new token type doesn't transfer the same as ERC20s, so that's part of it as well. But I will say Starbucks, same thing. If you want to throw it on Raptor, we can definitely circle back to it next week as well. You can submit them together. It doesn't matter. But that way we can make sure we get some more clarification on that for you as well.
Sounds good. Consider it done. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Blue, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Bolan? Hopefully you guys can hear me, yeah?
We can.
All right, wicked. My question has to do with concerns about Harmony, the overall user experience. Essentially, the game is not playable right now. I have not been able to quest for the past 2 days, and I think a whole bunch of other folks have also been struggling with that. It's on 2 fronts. It's not just not only not being able to quest, but in addition to that, I mean, we're paying like what is it, 3, 4, 5 times the amount that we used to pay for the gas fees. It's ridiculous. And another thing is, Harmony doesn't seem to be any closer to fixing their RPC issues. And it feels like they are consistently ignoring the elephant in the room. So, I mean, what is DFK dev team going to do about this? If we have to be on SD or on Harmony, fine, but we need to be able to at least play the game. And as of like the past month, it's just been ridiculous to say the least. So, I mean, I feel like DFK needs to do something. What are you guys going to do? That's my question.
That's a good question. I mean, you're preaching to the choir a little bit here. I was raising my hands and cheering for you as you were talking, but the frustration is real. This goes back to our priorities of Crystal Vale parity, everything we can do on Serendale currently on Harmony. We want to be able to have that option available in Crystal Vale. So to start with questing, then meditation, circle, alchemist, level, or the second part of questing with gardening and mining, and building from there. We have been doing our best on our side to reach out, identify issues, not only from what you're experiencing, but also I think Beetle Dude alluded to difficulties on testnet, which make it hard to be launching and testing new features on Harmony and Serendale. I can only say that we feel your pain, and that's what we've been trying to address in the last couple of weeks with our shift towards Crystal Vale parity, both in the form of funding and in the form of dev resources, so that as we have everything there, that hopefully runs a bit more smoothly, and the bridges that will follow, as there are some things that are not yet bridgeable, your experience could be enhanced, and you can continue the quest and progress in the game with lower fees and less disruption. But we don't have any control over the Harmony core team. So they have their own priorities. They have made it a point to make sure that although we do have communication options with them, they don't report to us, and we can only do so much, unfortunately. But it would be a lie to say if we were happy with the experience for the community, and that's why we've been proactive in as professional way as possible to look for other solutions from all directions, because it not only isn't enjoyable, but there are other solutions out there for the community, and that's where we're working hard.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, Blue. All right. And with that, we are going to go ahead and wrap up for the day. I did want to give a moment to give the opportunity for any closing comments from our folks up here. So I'm just going to call on Sunbear. Sunbear, any closing comments?
Yeah, I'll just say, thanks, Boo, for voicing the frustration that we're all feeling. I do want you all to hear that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say, Blue, thanks for sharing that frustration, voicing that frustration that we're all feeling, and I feel right there with you, and I just wanted to say, like, I've seen the team on a daily basis doing everything they can to work with, communicate with, bring back concerns to the team, communicate to Harmony. Like there's a lot going on, as much as we can have going on, as well, to just like looking out, like Dreamer said, for our future, for our community, and getting everything we can elsewhere as well. So just know, like we hear you, and we're working. I mean, Sasha is one of your biggest advocates out there, constantly talking to Harmony and us about what we can do to help increase or make the experience better. I just want to say, thank you to everyone who is being patient, who works so hard in this community, especially to these builders, and just excited to see what we can do together. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.
Thank you, Sunbear. Pieface?
Ooh, yes. Yeah, we're definitely all in this together, and I'm so grateful for everybody in the community. This whole merch effort is for you guys, the community, and I want you guys all to be as involved as possible with it all. So another plug for Rapider. There's the merch feedback section. I love chatting with you guys over there. And I actually forgot to mention that coming soon we'll have a t-shirt where we'll ask for some submissions, what to put on the back. We'll have something in the front, and then I want you guys to help out on what to put in the back. So that's something coming up. It'll be really fun to do. I love community involvement in development and merch and everything. So yeah, you guys are great. We got this. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Pieface. Beetle Dude?
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of echo what everyone else is saying, that we've got a great community, we've got a great team. We're going to keep pushing forward. I'm excited to be getting Crystal Vale in a good spot, and hopefully we can get y'all what you need as quickly as possible. The dev team is working hard and putting in long hours to make sure we can make that happen. So appreciate the patience and excited to be bringing that to you as quickly as we can. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it, Beetle Dude. As always, I just want to say thank you to everybody up here, as well as everybody in the audience and this community. Y'all are awesome. Don't forget to use our Rapid R site. And now we're going to go to Dreamer for closing comments and call it a day.
Yeah, I saw a couple other comments in the chat as well. We've been doing our best to not like dance around questions, but also just not come off as though we're burning certain people in this environment. But I want to make it very clear, although we're staying open to Serendale staying on Harmony, that would only happen if that was the best choice for everybody involved. I think I saw somebody say that that's a bad idea to intentionally keep Serendale on Harmony. I would just say things are changing every day. We don't know what we're going to wake up to tomorrow, but there are many active discussions with probably every chain that was shared by, I think, Blesseth in the chat, on all of those just being fully transparent. I don't know if there's anybody we haven't started talking to about the potential. Everything that comes with Serendale means different things to others. From like a biz dev perspective, I mentioned this before, but I just want to recap. We carry a lot of attractive qualities for a chain that I haven't really seen present in other platforms. Not only our long-term ability to cross-collaborate with other games, with other protocols, the roadmap that we have, the team that we've had, what we've put out in the last 10 months, as well as the transaction volume, the user base, even on the high and the low end and the average. It's really attractive. So we don't want to rush into that decision, because not only do we want to make sure that any potential disruptive move is fully valued by those that would be our new partners, potentially, if that's the way we go. We also want to make sure we know them well, they know us well. And going forward, we really don't want to engage in relationships professionally that aren't mutually beneficial. We all here in this market are on this AMA because we know the value of this project and the trajectory and the potential. Not everybody sees it the same way. And even if they do verbally, it's really in how you spend your money, how you spend your time, who you support, and how we grow. So the new home, if there is a new home, we will want to make sure that decision isn't done too lightly, that there's a lot of due diligence and all our options are exhausted. And if there is a decision for Serendale to be on Harmony, we should have supporting evidence on why that is the best choice. So hopefully that a little bit, that elaboration helps a little bit in that direction. But I do just want to say, there are a lot of questions on what's next. Trying to personally be creative with progressing things in the background. There's a couple really exciting things that is not being taken over by Activision Blizzard, but is finding strategic partners that are actually currently in the game, that have a lot of cool things going already, that have skill sets that that wouldn't slow down other progress like PvP and other pieces, where I've been having probably 2 or 3 either live meetings or long discussions over chat a week. And hopefully we get closer to talking about that update, as it's pretty exciting. Right now, all hands on deck for solving the short-term issues that we didn't anticipate, and getting feature parity and making sure experience is enhanced and assets are preserved. But we are doing our best to keep things progressing at the same time. So we appreciate the faith in the project, the support. Please do use the Rapidor site. We want a lot of questions there. Having time ahead of these AMAs where we could see things voted up and get detailed comments, so that when people aren't on here live, we can make sure that we get those answers to everybody. It's greatly appreciated. Really excited about merchandise as well. Hopefully people appreciate all the hard work that Pi, Motherbrain, Creatrix, and many others have been doing, Dragon Tea and others, because in this market, we're not trying to find, I think there were some negative comments here and there of like, oh, you're just finding new ways for us to spend money in this market, but it's really the opposite. Getting merch and banding together as a community is fun. And the fact that we are able to put forth this effort not only will provide an additional revenue stream for the team as we continue to build, but on top of that, it helps us represent what we have. It further legitimizes the brands that we're building. And I'm personally really excited and proud about that. On the Kingdom Builder side, it was a big bummer. I'm not going to lie. It was a big bummer to hear the news on what we had been earmarking and preparing for from the grant side, and then the unexpected events that happened. That's just been horrible for everybody. Sunday, Piano Man, and many others that have supported them to pivot and say, hey, we still want people to build. We've been so focused on grants. Let's take a step back and get people linked into the game, get people linked into the raffle, the master raffler, building on DFK chain. There's stuff we can do collectively without the money. And I think there have been people in the community asking for this. I built something. I don't need money, but I would like some acknowledgement. I would like for people to be able to access my services. Now, it might come with a big disclaimer up top that says it's not a native DFK protocol or service, but what we've talked about here today, and last but not least, Beetle giving the update on Crystal Quest, he did talk about it pretty lightly, but there's a ton of work. There's still long hours and a lot of discussions that have gone towards this. I know that people on Avalanche are eagerly awaiting the incremental features. I know that those on the team are excited. Those in the community are excited. It just so happens that this will be tightly corresponded to hopefully a better experience as well. Just thank you everybody for being patient, for being supportive, and asking all the right questions in a real professional way. We have an awesome community, and everybody here and those that aren't here as well, we're grateful for you. So with that, I guess bull on unless anything else. We say bullish and drop. Bullish.
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 Bye.